Welcome to the very first conversation that I'm having for Swoon Worthy Services. It's with Shelby Lee, who is a best-selling author of poetry books and also a coach and a mentor for authors for how to use social media most effectively to become better-selling authors. Welcome, Shelby.
Thanks, Danica. I'm excited to be here and chat with you.
So first, just tell us a little bit about you and your author journey and what you help authors with.
So, I write poetry books about mental health. So, whenever I tell people that I've sold poetry, they're always like, "Is that a thing? Do people sell poetry books?" So, yes, it is definitely more niche, but if I can do it, so can you. So, I started self publishing in 2016, was when my first book came out. So, it's been almost a decade, which is so cool to say. And my journey started as an introvert filled with self doubt. I was writing anonymously. So again, if you are someone listening who is introverted and feels like you can't do marketing, I'm here to tell you you can, because I didn't even put my name on anything whenever I first started, which was not a good idea for having my work stolen, but that's a different conversation.
Goodness. Yeah.
Um, so we all learn. That was a learning for me. But anyways, so after self-publishing my first two books, I really got into the swing of things with the marketing and was using social media to reach out to my community and grow my audience and make sales through primarily Instagram is how I started, and then TikTok as well became my top two platforms for sales and building my audience. And from there, I've had kind of a hybrid journey of getting some traditional offers as well. My second book was actually republished due to the sales that it had, and I wanted to experience traditional publishing at that point. So I did that. And then I've had my last couple of books be traditionally published as well. And I'm planning on just continuing to do a mix because I really enjoy both self publishing and doing everything on my own. It's so rewarding, but then also the traditional publishing and distribution and all of that. So that's kind of my author journey. And I still write and publish and do all of that. But a few years ago, I started teaching it as well, teaching marketing. So I started marketing by Shelby. And I've had over 8,000 authors and creatives go through. I sell like low ticket courses and guides and all of that. So I really wanted to make marketing more affordable and educational and accessible, all the A words, accessible and actionable as well. Just helping people figure out step by step how to market through content marketing, through social media, and feeling more confident and empowered to do it on their own. So that is what I do now and what we're going to talk about today. So I'm
Amazing.
excited.
And I can absolutely attest to the high quality of your low ticket offers.
Thank you.
They really are exceptional. So,
Thank you.
let's start by talking about Instagram. A lot of authors use Instagram. Um, a lot of authors don't use it very strategically. We just know we should be there because readers are there. So, how can authors reach readers with that social media content that they post on Instagram?
Yeah, great question. So Instagram, even though it's been a little finicky, I don't know what other word to use. Annoying is a good word to use. The algorithm is always changing, but some of the things that haven't changed in Instagram are that it's still one of the best places for connection with your audience. They have more tools for being able to really engage with your audience versus other platforms that are trying to keep up with that. And so they're one of the only platforms that has had successful like stories, which are the posts that kind of disappear after 24 hours, but they have so many built-in engagement tools within that, like polls and quizzes, and people can reply to your story and it goes right into your DMs and starts a conversation. And that's how a lot of the conversations and that engagement is really started on Instagram that can lead to sales and lead to people feeling like they're actually a part of a community when they're engaging with you on social media. So I think that that's one that's really underutilized. People don't really know what to post there, or they're like, well, it's going to disappear in 24 hours. So I'm not going to spend time on it. But that is a place where it is very casual behind the scenes. Like as you're working on your book, snap a picture and tell us your update of like what it is that you're working on. It's not a fancy graphic. It's not a reel. It's nothing like that. It's very casual. And the people that see that are people who already like you and are following you. So that's a little bit of a low lift strategy. Now, before that, before you ever even have an audience, if you're new to Instagram, there's a few different steps. The first one would be setting up your profile to be you as an author. I try not to recommend that you use a personal profile if it's like all pictures of your family and food and things like that that are more casual. You can rebrand that, but a lot of times I find people are on board with that and then they struggle because they're worried about their friends and family watching them. So I tend to recommend starting fresh. Brand it to you as the author. Tell us what readers you're looking for, like what your genre is, a little mission statement about you and your books, and speak to your readers because that's who we're trying to attract with our bio.
Would you have that post kind of held in the first frame on Instagram so that people can
Like
look at that
pinned.
easily? Pin, thank you. Pin it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So the bio section stays the same. Like that's not technically a separate post. It's right in your profile. But then yes, you can do like an introduction post about you, who you are, one about your books. If you already have books out and published, you can make a pinned post. You can have up to 3 on Instagram. And that way they stay right at the top. As people are coming to your profile, they can see strategic posts, those top 3 that you really want them to see first. So yes, I do recommend using that strategically. One about you, one about your newest release. If you have a freebie or a reader magnet, you want to grow your email list, that's a really good one to have pinned as well. So people can immediately come into your world and join your email list too.
Okay, and I interrupted you. I apologize. Where you were?
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to say the other thing to do, whether you've had this account for a while or you're just starting, is start with some research, some keyword research for your genre. So that can be as simple as just typing in your genre. Maybe it's romance books, maybe it's a certain trope or theme in your books, and just see what people are already saying. Look specifically at readers. You'll probably find a lot of authors, and that's great too to make connections with. But get into the mindset of your actual readers because they're the ones buying most often. And the ones who are talking about their favorite books are people who are actively reading all the time, engaging with other readers, and all of that. So look at what they're saying and the types of content that are popular with them, because that's going to be a really good starting point for your own content as well.
That is fabulous. Yeah, well, I recommend research before all kinds of different stages of the publishing. And it hadn't occurred to me other than doing hashtag research, but not for that purpose. So that's,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love the new perspective on that. You mentioned those disappearing videos, the ones that last for 24
Stories.
hours are really valuable. How do we get people to watch our videos on Instagram?
Yeah. So a couple different things. The video post on Instagram is called a reel. So that one stays on your feed unless you want to delete it for some reason. Typically, I don't recommend that. So those ones don't disappear for 24 hours. And those ones are more likely to be shown to non-followers, which is great because we want to be reaching new people as well as our current followers as well. So with Reels, what these platforms are looking for, this applies to, TikTok, other platforms as well, is watch time. They want people to stay on the platform and keep watching and basically being addicted to the content, right? And so as the people creating the content and posting it, we want people to engage with our content and watch the full video or as much as the video as possible. And so whenever we make longer videos, that can be harder to keep attention for a long time. And so I recommend whenever we're new to creating content like this, that you start smaller, start 5 to 10 seconds, really short, and see how long people are watching for. You can see this in your analytics, and that will give you a good sense of, am I doing a good job of grabbing attention? And that's how your video is going to get more and more views. So if there's a video that is 10 seconds long and most people watch 9 or 10 seconds, that tells Instagram that it was a good, engaging video. Whereas if you have a minute and a half video and everyone's swiping away after 5 seconds, it's probably not going to be a very successful video. And that's more so just to protect your time, that you're not spending time making these long pieces of content that people aren't actually watching. The first thing that we need is our hook, and that's the very first second of our video. You can think of it as a headline, something that grabs attention, and that can be the visual on screen. If there's like movement or something more unusual that people don't see every day, that can be one. But most often for authors, it's going to be the text on screen. You can just add a line of text that speaks right to your audience. Maybe you list out some of the different tropes or themes in your book, or the first section of your book description is often really compelling and attention grabbing. So these are the types of things that we can experiment with to grab attention. And then from there, it's really just experimenting and looking at your data and saying, okay, this one didn't do so well, but this one, more people watched and watched longer. So the first few seconds are really strong. And then you can go to the next 3 seconds and say, okay, now did people swipe away after 3 seconds or after 6 or 7, and kind of just get a sense of how your content is doing and how long people are watching. And that's how you build your views.
Well, and would you then take, if let's say you had a really strong hook and the first 3 seconds worked really well, would you use that again and then edit the next 6 seconds of that 10-second video and just keep iterating?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I reuse hooks all the time. Once you have ones that you know work, you can change them up slightly, but mainly, the main kind of template that you use can be the same and you can repeat that. So yeah, and you can just then experiment with the song that you use in the video or what you say in the video if you're talking or the visuals, and then keep the same hook or just, change it slightly to test it.
Well, so what is, in your opinion and your experience, the best way to grow followers on Instagram these days?
So, speaking of Reels, we just talked about all the different strategies for that. So, there's a new feature on Instagram that is really helpful for this. And now it isn't available to everyone. I always get in trouble because I talk about these new features and they rule them out over time. So, you may have it. I hope you have it. It might be coming for you soon, but it's called Trial Reels. And it is where you can post Reels to only non followers. So, you select the trial option and then it only shows it to non-followers rather than your current followers, which at first everyone was like, I just want to reach my followers. Why would I want to do this? But it's a really nice way to test content and know for a fact that you're going to get in front of new eyeballs that haven't heard of you before. So it's a really nice way to test your hooks. You can post the exact same video, but change out the first second and share it 3 different iterations to trial reels and then post the one that actually worked the best to your followers. Um, and you can also kind of post more. Like a lot of us are worried about spamming our followers. We don't want to post like twice in a day is too much, but you can post 2 or 3 trial reels in a day without having to worry about your followers even knowing. And so that's another nice feature of it as well. So a lot of people are seeing success and growth because they're able to use the same content, repurpose it, but then see, okay, this one did really, really well compared to these other 2 of the same video, but different hook. So now I know for future videos, this one worked the best. And I can then share that to my followers and know that. It's also a really good practice for providing context to your audience because a lot of us get in the swing of like, I'm posting to my followers. They already know who I am and what I'm all about. But if we want to reach new people and actually make sales, we oftentimes forget the context of like, "Oh, I didn't even include my genre in this post. Like no one knows that this is a romance book. And it sounds so obvious to us. But whenever you're sharing it only to new people who have never heard of you, it's a really good practice in like, am I actually being clear about what I do and what this is all about? And you'll be able to tell by the reaction that you get from those posts.
That is brilliant. Do we have to really love data, or can we get enough information if we're just kind of like maybe a reluctant data reviewer?
Yeah, I know for sure. And I do. I love numbers, but you don't have to. What I would say is one, Instagram will actually nudge you. So whenever I've done trial reels in the past and I've been experimenting with it a lot, it'll notify me whenever I go onto Instagram and say, this trial reel is performing better than your past ones, than your recent ones. We suggest sharing it to your followers now. So it'll actually help you out. So you don't have to make the decision yourself. I still like to look at the numbers and you don't have to go deep into the data, but you can just say, okay, this one got 1,000 views in 24 hours. This one got 200. Looks like this one's doing better. So it's a quick decision and nothing you need to spend too much time on.
Fantastic. Well, thanks. So you're talking about doing these iterations with the copy in our videos and I guess with our posts as well, I imagine. What is your position or your thought, your take on using AI to help us write copy for our social media posts?
Yeah. So I get a lot of questions about this. And I feel like people are very much in 2 different camps. And one is like, I'm never touching AI and not really interested in using it for my writing, and others who are interested in experimenting with it. I think it, in terms of copywriting, I think that it does struggle to be specific about your book. Like you really have to give it a lot of information and be prompting it correctly in order for it to really be able to be useful. But I do think when it comes to ideation and like brainstorming, that it definitely can be effective, and as well as analysis. Like if you are someone who struggles with data, you can upload your like meta analytics and ask it to help you sort that and gather, data like, hey, can you analyze this past 30 months of content? Which post performed the best? Do you notice anything in the captions that I wrote that performed the best or got more comments? Things like that, I feel like is really useful. But in terms of copy, I will say you have to know your own book first. And if it gives you something more generic, you need to then twist it into knowing your audience and your target reader and making it more effective on your own. So still, utilize your creativity and your brain that wrote your amazing book in the first place. But it can help you. It can definitely give you some ideas and help with brainstorming.
And just back to the asking, for instance, ChatGPT to analyze data. Does Instagram, for instance, or Meta let you download the data that you need? You can then upload, or do you have to do a lot of work to figure out that what you're
No, you can download analytics from Meta Business Suite. So if you have a business account for Facebook and Instagram, because you can connect the two, in Meta Business Suite, you're able to download insights and analytics from certain time periods, like past 30 days, past 90 days, so on and so forth. And then you can upload the PDF to your Chat GPT or whatever you're using.
using? Wow. All right. So I notice in the Author Ever After community, we're talking a lot about using Pinterest now as a way to reach readers. It kind of comes back around every now and then as
Yes.
using Pinterest. So can you talk about how authors can use Pinterest as a platform for book promotion?
Yeah, sure. I think it's resurging because, and you're right, it does resurge every so often when people are getting a little bit more tired of like regular social media because it doesn't really have the same feel as like Instagram, as TikTok, where you're kind of like looped into that infinite scroll of videos. So Pinterest really is a mix between social media and a search engine. A lot of people either end up on Pinterest by Googling something, and Pinterest is so prominent in the SEO search engine world that you'll end up on Pinterest, or people use it as a tool to search for resources, for inspiration, for things like that. And so it's a little different in terms of what content is effective because oftentimes it's something where people are either saving posts as inspiration to come back to. So like quotes, or lists of, 20 romance books to read in 2025, for example. Like they'll want to save that list to come back to and open it and read that full kind of thing. So if you are doing like blogging at all on your website, Pinterest is a great tool to use to link back to your website. But a lot of people are using it now for promoting their books and either getting sales directly from Pinterest or trying to use it to grow their email list. So they might be linking to reader magnets, freebies, things that they may have that gets people on their email list as well. So video is still popular on Pinterest, and you can honestly repurpose what you're doing on other platforms as well to Pinterest. And the thing just to keep in mind with Pinterest is that it is a search engine. So try to do some keyword research first. You can Google, start typing in like a keyword related to your genre on Google as well as Pinterest and see what pops up. It'll, auto populate some other ideas for you. That's a really good starting point, and use those phrases in your posts or use them as inspiration for posts so that you know that you're capturing what your readers are already potentially searching for on Pinterest and saving and to come back to later.
That's brilliant. So what types of things do you think authors should be keeping in mind when we're using social media for book launches specifically?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that the main thing would be starting before you think. Um, because a lot of times we'll be so focused on the book itself and finishing that up and making sure everything is good to go. And then we haven't like been really warming our audience up so that they know about it and they're getting excited along with you. So just take them on that journey with you if you're self-publishing, like as you're making these decisions about the cover, share that with your audience. Like, here's what the cover is looking like, or I got these 2 samples back. Like, what do you guys think? Get their input, do a poll, reveal the cover, reveal the title, pick a release date a little bit out so you have some time to start getting them excited. And that time for the launch is the time to focus on building your audience as best as you can. And that can be getting people off social media onto your email list, or creating more broad posts about your genre that are like relatable type posts that are more likely to be shared or for people to be entertained by. And they might want to send it to a friend who also loves romance books or whatever it is that you write. And that's kind of the time to be experimenting with that and getting as many new followers or new subscribers to your email list as possible for that new launch. I think just starting a little bit earlier than you would think, bringing your audience into the experience with you and using that time to talk about what the book's about, get people excited for it so that whenever it's release day, you're not scrambling to tell everyone about it. They know.
Right. So I want to just follow up on that. You've said a couple of times before you think, and I know Brienne Randall, for instance, before she launched her book, she was promoting it on, I believe, TikTok and Instagram for a full year before her book
Mhm.
release. And she launched as a New York Times bestseller with her
Yeah.
debut novel.
Yeah.
Now, a year is a long time.
Mhm.
A week is not long enough. Is there
Yeah.
kind of a magic space that you think is not too overwhelming but can be effective for authors?
Yeah. Yeah. I typically will say 3 to 6 months, which I know is wide, but it kind of depends on your publishing schedule. Like typically traditionally published books, you'll know very far in advance when it's coming out and things will be more set up. Whereas a lot of times self-published authors will finish a book and get it out the next month. So just kind of thinking ahead about your own schedule and what you're currently working on. But I think 3 to 6 months is really good. 6 months if you have more time. 2 to 3 months if you're like, I want to get this out now. Like, give yourself a little bit of time at least to start building that audience up.
It sounds like you, if it were you releasing the book and you only had 2 months and you were able to, you might bump your release date a little later so that you had a longer window to be promoting.
Yeah, I think if I was brand new to it, probably not, just because your book can have success long after you launch too. So I don't want people to ever like push it off or get stuck on it being like the right exact timeline. Like my first book did not launch it properly at all. I did the thing where I put it up on Amazon and said, "Hey, it's here," and like no
Me
one knew.
too. Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. And if I, would have waited for it to be perfect, maybe it would have been delayed or I wouldn't have ever done it. That book sold 2 copies the first week. It sold over 7,000 now, almost a decade later. So I don't want people to delay because of that. But yeah, I do think that if it is your first launch and you want it to have some sort of results the first couple of weeks, that it's worth the time to think about it strategically and give yourself a few months of time to get everything, all your ducks in a row and start getting some readers attracted to your social media first.
Thank you. What about particularly, well, I'm thinking particularly for the first time author or the very early career author, what are your thoughts on influencer marketing?
Yeah. I think that it depends on your budget first and foremost, because a lot of times you do have to, for bigger names, pay to have them promote your book. So it's like a form of paid advertising. But I think early on, making connections with more micro influencers who are starting to build up their platforms and are really excited about the opportunity of having like a free book sent to them is a really good place to start because they could potentially keep going and growing. And then you've already built a good solid foundation and connection with them. It also helps like our budgets as well. But a lot of the times it is not always the best ROI. I hear from authors who are like, I paid someone $1,000 and didn't get a sale. Right. So it's like, right. So we want to be strategic about it too, if this is something that you want to try, because word of mouth is effective. Getting a glowing testimonial from a reader and then posting a video about it can definitely be effective. But just make sure that they are truly like in your niche, that their audience, like if you can find one that's genre specific, like someone who really truly only talks about romance books.
Or even more
Or
specifically, if I can say, like, these are the small town romance, these are the dark romance
yes,
readers, or like, right,
yes,
really important.
right.
The romance.
Exactly. And just check out their engagement. Are they getting genuine comments from other readers? There are some people who will buy engagement or buy comments, and they are noticeably not very real looking. So just keep an eye out for that as well, that you are really hiring someone if you're going to pay them or send them a book that they have a genuine connection with their audience and that they're going to actually post about your book. Make sure that there's all those things set in place. But they're not a must have in poetry. It is very, very hard to find people who are in doing those types of videos. So I've never done that. And most of the poets that I know that have sold thousands have done it from posting themselves versus doing that. So yes, it can be helpful. Try it if you like, but know that it's not a must have.
Great. Thank you. You just reminded me of something else we were having a conversation about in the Author Ever After community, which was around Instagram follow trains, where you join a group and everybody has to like and comment on specific posts. I've heard that those actually suppress the algorithm, like Instagram knows. So what do you know about those approaches to try to get, to bulk up the appearance of how many people are liking your post?
Yeah, I don't recommend it. For that reason that you've said, they are able to, especially if it's happening on Instagram, like you're all in a chat sending each other your posts, like can tell when there's kind of engagement boosting happening. So I don't recommend doing that. But if you are going to try it, take it off Instagram, have like a group text. Don't send each other your post. Just say like, hey, I just posted if you want to hop on. Because if you send each other like the links, they can also tell where people are coming from. So if I copy a link of my own post, there's special tags that they add to like URLs. So they can tell, okay, she sent this post and 5 minutes later, people are coming onto Instagram to like and comment it, right? If you're going to do it, try to be a little bit more
Subversive.
strategic about it. Yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
more subtle and definitely make sure that it's people in your same niche too, just so you're not getting a bunch of followers who aren't actually the slightest bit interested in what you're going to say, because that's not going to help your engagement at all in the long run.
Right. All right. I imagine I could ask you questions all day and you would answer them all day, but I would love to know what you can tell us about the social media programs that you have for authors and where we can learn more so that folks can go and get what they need.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I think one that I'm really excited about that's a little bit newer is the social media suite. No one needs a ton of more information, mostly just action and templates. So it's kind of a shortcut to social media and it has hundreds of templates. I will say that they're organized by month. So whenever I say that for anyone who's like, I don't need a folder of like 100 templates, they're all organized by month. So you can log in for April and open up April and your content plan is there and it's ready for you. So you personalize the templates, you personalize the caption, you post, you're ready to go. And it is designed for authors, for creatives who are, selling their books. So you have to personalize them, but people are loving it and it's saving them a ton of time, especially if you don't like coming up with your own content ideas. So that's called the social media suite. And it's a really good one. It's fun. And then I have a social media marketing membership. It's called the Creatives Content Club. And so if you do want to pick my brain, you have these sorts of questions that Danica has been asking, you want my eyes on your social media posts and giving you feedback, that is what we do, that community as well. So that's my favorite place to begin to help people with their social media.
Yay. I'll put links, but do you want to share what the link is?
Sure. Yeah. My website is marketingbyshelby.com. So you can find all of those things there. Marketingbyshelby.com/club is how you would get to the club page as well.
All right. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. Definitely a swoon-worthy service. Everything that you do
Thank you.
is, Shelby. So thanks so much.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.